I'm your host, Sharada Devi, of the Born to Be Free podcast that serves as a bridge between the ancient and the new era, a confluence of opposites where all is seen as sacred and every experience is meant to catapult you into your supreme destiny.
Welcome to the new episode of Born to Be Free podcast. I am Sharada Devi, your host. Again, under the banyan tree. It is still raining, wonderfully wet, fertile soil, and very juicy. The juiciness of Bali is incredible. And I have a very juicy friend here with me, much more than juicy, a beautiful, sacred sister. And juicy, why? Because she's just like, I want to just hug her and snuggle her. And her heart is really the sweetest of the sweetest. Marlia Coeur from Greece, Cyprus. Incredible human being, musician, artist, singer, soul, writer, priestess. And I have the honor to have her here today as a guest. We just journeyed together to a beautiful place called Intaya in Nusa Penida, where we were invited, and we had 24 intense magical moments there together, singing and chanting by the ocean and being on the lands, praying and visioning, going to the cave and just pouring our heart and gratitude to Mother Bali for all that she has given to us, the growth, the expansion. And Marlia is also a facilitator and priestess at the priestess initiation training that I've been hosting here in Bali for a few years. So I'm so happy you're here today with me. Thank you so much, Marlia, Devi.
Pleasure is all mine.
Aww.
Privilege is all mine.
Mm.
Thank you for your invitation.
Mm. How is your heart today? How are you after our journey going to Intaya?
There is a softness, a beautiful softness,
Mm.
and the softness is expanding with wings
With wings.
because there is, so much in the making.
Mm.
And yet again, it feels like a down wave, a downtime.
Mm.
It feels like these days, these weeks, I can retreat a little bit.
Mm.
My usually fiery forward energy, I can just retreat,
Mm.
rest, have
Mm.
some deep resting moments.
Mm.
And in these resting moments comes the sensitivity, comes messages, comes the feminine power, comes in all kinds of manifestations.
Mhm.
It can be a song, a melody,
Mm.
a rhythm, a dance,
Mm.
or it can be one of the next offerings, what we are preparing for
Mm.
2025.
We are preparing for 2025, some magic, some sparkles. Is any song that has come out recently that you already feel like sharing with us?
Ah,
Is there anything in your heart right now, or maybe later also?
so many songs
So many songs.
and a melody that comes through right now,
Yeah,
right? Under the banyan tree. As it is, raw and unscheduled.
totally unscheduled.
Budare, 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 budare. Budare, 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 budare. Budare, 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 budare.
Urare, 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 urare. Eh. Hmm. I can just listen to you and melt.
Me too.
Maybe the whole podcast will just be Marlia Coeur singing, being beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, one time an episode will just be a whole offering.
I mean,
with
this is what
what
we
we want to
are.
do,
Yeah,
right?
this is what we want to do. This is
Yeah.
what we have been integrating. You
Yes.
in your own way and with the everything that has been given, with
Yeah.
your drive and your determination, of course, to reach that place. And me again with mine in my bubble, let's say. And I felt you. There was a point during the online Navaratri festival, what you so eloquently and gracefully put online, for 10 days with an impeccable team of world leaders and facilitators of the heart. There was a moment there towards the end, towards the climax of this of this meeting, global meeting. After I did my workshop, after we done the sound healing, and after I also attended some of the other facilitators program, that it became so clear for me that I could be your music under your guidance. And somehow I came to you and I said, hey, I have this. It's an idea, it's an insight. Would you be up for that?
And I was like, yes, that's what I have been seeing as well. I wanted to ask you, would you join me with your voice and music and medicine? And we both said yes.
We both said
We
yes.
both said yes, yeah. And we're going to have the priestess initiation training coming up in March, from birth all the way to death. We have Marlia's medicine, music, voice, instrument, and I'll guide the embodiment,
And the
the
rituals and the
rituals.
rites of passage.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
We've done
Yeah.
this in the past, and I've been in touch with some of the women
Mm.
from the training. And yeah, there is so much transformation, so
Mm.
much bliss, so much more even confidence in the way they are now using their voices, using the drums, in the way that they're invocating,
Mm.
and
Mm.
in their chants, in their
Mm.
prayers
Mm.
to the Great Mother.
Mm.
So it's something which comes once and stays for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So we are all here as women archetypes to receive that blessing, I feel.
Please
And
tell us about the blessing. Like, I really want our community to hear about your journey because you don't come from a musician family. Is
no,
that correct? Like,
yes, not
yeah.
at all. I really had to put all of my gears on.
Mm.
First of all, to understand me, myself, who am I, and what am I doing here, and what is
Mm.
my mission, which was quite clear, I would say, from the beginning. But the how to,
Mm.
the navigation through life, I would say, hasn't been the easiest. And through
Mm.
each and every breakdown, through each and every cripple,
Mm.
challenge, turn and twist, I am learning a new lesson. And I'm
Mm.
so grateful for this. Otherwise,
Mm.
it wouldn't have been possible to fuel all what feels like pain into a song,
Mm.
all what feels as generational trauma into the integrated, the embodied, the released
Mm.
uh, song.
Mm.
And I also don't think that it could have been possible either with fewer steps. Like sometimes my mind would tell me, oh, I wish this could have already been done
Mm.
somehow.
Mm.
And it makes so much sense. Once
Mm.
I see it in retrospect, the journey, I see that everything was a piece of the puzzle and had to be exactly
Mm.
in that way.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
my message also to the world, and especially to women, and especially to women from very patriarchal backgrounds, countries, ethnicities, religions. I happen to come from Cyprus, and my half ethnicity is Cypriot, and the other half is Greek. And we are both peoples from uprooting, from a lot of devastation, from a lot of war, from a lot of bloodshed. And there is even in the dream world so much coming to me since forever, since I've been young, with images that I do not recognize, yet the energetic heaviness of that is kind of like pouring down on my shoulders. I continuously lift up
Mm.
after working with that pain, after doing my self growth practices, after meeting amazing men and women who have and hold strong capabilities to release pain, to transform traumas. And I would say once more that the biggest guru in all of this is my body, is the body. You can receive as much help, and it's a beautiful thing that we have a web, supportive web from by people all over the world who can really come here and stand by our side. And yet again, the teacher, the great guru, would be the body incorporating also the voice. And this, I would say, for me has been the greatest gift. I didn't get born with an amazing voice, and
What? You didn't?
and even and even now she takes her cycles as well, because it's not every day the same, it's not every hour of the day the same, it's not every year the same, it's not
Mm.
every month of the year the
Mm.
same.
Mm.
That I might have this big performance or an awesome festival sharing to do on a specific day. From all the days, that morning I would wake up raspy and a little bit sore,
Mm.
and I would feel, 90%
Mm.
of my ability to sing the
Mm.
songs, to sing the prayers.
Mm.
Nevertheless, by the end of the performance or prayer performance ceremony, uh, it, I don't think like that
Mm.
anymore. It's the most peculiar thing.
Mm.
I have never said, "Oh, the voice failed me." It has always been here,
Mm.
and for me, that's a beautiful and powerful constant that keeps on traveling with me and
Mm.
gives me the trust and this unwavering confidence that no matter what, when you are really connected to the body, to the voice, they will guide you. The body will guide you. The voice will guide you.
So tell us about one, your mission. You said you always knew your mission. It was always clear. We want to know some of the pains and struggles that you went through because that helps us to relate, our listeners, our community, to see that you've also had difficult situation. And when we hear the story, it's like, oh, this happened to her, this happened to me. And yeah, let's start there.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If this is helpful for others, of course, I'm
Yes.
I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So the mission is this. I am
Mm.
here to remind you that your voice is a healing tool. I'm here to remind you and give you an activation code, like a permission slip, that you are meant to be using your voice, not just for the mere communication of going to a grocery store and buying a few products, but for the healing of yourself, for the attuning of yourself, for others, and for nature.
And to speak about activation code, because that's quite a terminology. Like, and for some, it can sound very new agey. On the other hand, it's actually ancient, especially Greek ancient tradition.
Exactly.
Would you speak a little bit about that to
Yeah,
just bring?
absolutely.
Mm.
First of all, it's quite simple, even if it sounds fancy. When you are in the presence of Dalai Lama, you instantly feel an energetic wave coming on you. Why? Because he's holding that space. So it's a little bit same analogy that when you are in front of someone who has now broken free with their voice, allowing their voice to guide them. Maybe academically, there's errors in a voice academically, but spiritually or on a shamanic level or on a physical level or an emotional level, there's nothing wrong with
There are no
that.
mistakes.
There are no
You
mistakes.
cannot sing wrong.
It's just a release mechanism.
Mm.
It's a bringing all the elements in and gathering fragments of the soul kind of mechanism that you are calling in, and only you can call in. So you are each one of us holds some individual unique codes that nobody else can decode it for you, but you need somebody to activate it for you. So once this is activated, you can then progress on your journey. You can remember by yourself and do your practices, or you can always reach out and say, "Hey, I want to do this, but I don't know what we were doing. Can you remind me?" Or you are um, uh, paddling on from lotus flower to lotus flower to find more of these vocal activators around the world. And every time you are meeting some of them, you are receiving a little code, a little piece of the puzzle more, another step of your progress. So this would be what I do, and I'm so happy that, yeah, when I was growing up, even the vocal activator term had not even been invented. There is, for example, an opera singer and then a vocal coach. That's kind of like the one aspect, and the other side of the spectrum. Um, it came further on the way of our conscious development and of our spiritual growth, to say that, okay, there could be someone who has background of both academic and spiritual backgrounds, and can now combine them in a way to produce something new, right? So for me, I would say the first or underlying foremost factor that kind of became the biggest challenge in my life was the non-recognition by my parents. So I guess that would have to be in the also in the presence of a 12-year-old, the most determining factor for
Terminating.
for the next 20 years. What feels, I was someone who was living in this body, but I had not become aware. So when I was
Aware of the
12,
body, aware of.
aware of the emotional intelligence, aware of that mission, aware of the spiritual growth, and what am I really here for?
But you knew already at 12 years old you wanted to sing.
I wanted to play music,
You wanted to play music.
and I was already studying classical guitar since
Okay.
9,
Okay.
because there was a guitar at home that got bought for my brother, my older brother.
Yeah.
My older brother didn't even touch it. And sometime after watching Gone with the Wind with the family, I was like around 8 or something at the time. I played the soundtrack of Gone with the Wind on the guitar. And my mom saw that and she was like, this kid has to go to music school. So this is how it all started. I snatched my brother's guitar, and guitar became my first instrument. Singing at school and being in the choir, I started realizing what is the harmony, because in choir you have to pertain a certain melody
Yeah.
and not
That's so tricky.
the other
I'm
one.
still. You can help me with that.
But you're wonderful because you already did. You already did it.
It's getting better and better. I can start to like stay, but easily I get
Like,
still like.
I want to be that voice.
It just like goes with the other person. With you gotta like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So having multiple ears almost, having the capacity to horizontally stack a couple of melodies or more than a couple, and be able to listen to all of them simultaneously. That was kind of like my first big win, let's say, which I was the only one who knew about this big win, because when I was 12, 3 years later, I had moved to another music school in the same city,
That was
and
in Cyprus.
this was in Cyprus, and very rural back then. Paphos, the area where goddess Aphrodite is being
Oh.
born.
We just had Aphrodite's here before. Vivian. We had
Venus,
our Venus.
right?
Yeah.
Like
An
her.
archetype. That's what we mean by it.
Yes.
Like, she manifests in different ways. She's in all of us, of course. But yes, please continue. Excuse me. I just got excited.
The ancient sanctuary
Yeah.
of
Afro.
goddess Aphrodite is right there
Wow.
where I'm born.
Yeah.
So um, after
You were born there.
getting a couple of
Mm-hmm.
certifications, we
Mm-hmm.
can also talk about that more, into the guitar academic path. It was kind of like the time to start choosing universities for the future. And of course, at that point, I had no access to very fast internet. I had to really go into a library and, connect to the older system, to a modem, and then start searching on different university institutes that could get me going into the music production and voicing what I really, really wanted. Not guitar per se, but the idea of like producing music and voice.
Mm.
And of course, I found Berkeley
You
and
found Berkeley.
Berkeley University in Boston.
Okay.
And after getting a couple of sponsorships, because
Wow.
Berkeley is pretty expensive,
Okay. Yeah.
I was accepted.
Mm.
But guess what? My dad said no. And that was a huge one.
Huge.
That was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I was 13
Yeah.
at the time,
Yeah.
because you do this very early. And of course, any other scenario or any other, alternative solution for me was not enough after that. So I feel like I completely switched. I did not complete my classical guitar training certification, because from I needed one more year and I could teach. I started teaching, of course, younger students at the age of 16,
Mm.
and I needed one more year, because by that time your fingers and the whole dexterity of the classical guitar playing gets so sensitive. It's at such high level that if you kind of quit, then you need like another 2 or 3 years to catch up. So I was playing all of these beautiful pieces,
Wow.
classical guitar pieces, with tremolo techniques that, like, when you are in front
Wow.
of the altar in the church, it just sounds beyond
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
beautiful.
Wow.
And because I had this no, a
Yeah.
big no in my life, which translated, of course, into
And it was a strict no.
it was a strict
It
no.
was a strict no. There
Yeah.
was non-negotiable.
For music, no. I could go and study whatever other thing I wanted, but not music. And I
Yeah.
did. I
Yeah.
studied everything, because that's what a person does, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was mentioning in the beginning of our talk. That this shifted me into a whole 20-year cycle
Mm.
of me, pretty much hovering over the earth,
Mm.
studying things, meeting people, singing, writing, composing. Yes, I never let it go. Maybe like for a year, I let go of my guitar. And then soon I realized, oh my gosh, no, this is the medicine. This is go back to this, go back to this. Until it was 20 years later when I could actually take my adult self, holding my little 12-year-old Marlia in my arms, and take her into a vocal academy and say, I need to get certified on this, because the society, the community, the parents, they all need that kind of certification, right? It's somehow indoctrinated in our brains.
Who
It's
are you without a
programmed.
certification? Yeah.
In in a psychological kind of way, it really helped.
Yeah.
It really supported this 12-year-old
Yeah.
Marlia that wanted to go to Berkeley, because
Yeah.
you can imagine then, meeting Berkeley graduates and being, I want to work with you, just because it was something unattainable for me. And I did a lot of work to go there and bridge the gap between I am lacking that kind of study, but I'm here. Come, let's co-create. Like I can see you. So
You're here because you continued your own immersion into the music and your voice. You never stopped. And so you had this embodiment without the restriction in one way of the structure. Is that what you're meaning with it?
yes,
And then
yes,
those from
yes,
the academics, they saw you, felt you, heard you, and they're like, actually, this is what I want. Mm.
exactly.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it goes to the extent for some people to say, uh, professionals in the
Mm.
field to say, it's all done for the best.
Mm.
Perhaps this is the best gift for you that you
Yeah.
did not go into the structure and into the
Yeah.
ABCs of a
Yeah.
renowned institution,
Yeah.
because now you are
Ah.
free to be able to, yeah, to hold the Shakti
Yeah.
and create
Shakti means the
through
power of the sacred feminine.
her. And also, of course, I needed some technical support. So
Yeah.
I started teaching myself, I started teaching myself how to use an interface on the laptop so that I can record myself. I started teaching myself how to, which equipment I need and how do I make my own music studio, and recording a lot with different bands, playing in like a multitude of bands. That was never less
That
than,
was
let's
never less
say. And
than.
there's so many releases and albums, and it keeps on growing, and it's endless. And yeah, it's I'm amazed by how much depth there is to to Shakti, to this idea of the primordial feminine power. It just keeps on and on and on. And exactly like a moment ago with the banyan tree here, it doesn't need a lot. Or like there is or seems to be a melody in our field somehow hanging over our ears all the time. Do I have access to it? That's the question.
How do we get access to it?
This
Through
is
the
a
vocal
beautiful
activation.
question.
And
I think it it might need a different approach for each person,
yeah.
re- depending on where you are in life. But what I've seen the most common route for most people is that we feel less confident if we are lacking the knowledge. I see this in a lot of my students. A lot of those people who are approaching me because they have seen that I can become this bridge between rainbow gatherers playing guitar and Berkeley graduates having had 10 years of experience in music production. Like I can be that bridge. So they are approaching me because they understand that they are lacking something. They do have some talent, but they don't know how to bridge them. So I feel with this process that the best way is it's twofold. One is to conquer some technical knowledge. Just study it again. It doesn't matter how old you are. Learn the
The
ABCs of
ABC, the
music
basics.
theory. Learn how to play an instrument. Learn how rhythm works. Learn what is harmony. Learn and study melody. It's an ancient technology. Why not? It doesn't have to be in a university, but you can find people like myself and like small academies that they can teach you this. So one is conquer your technical knowledge. You need something at some point to make you feel not in ownership of that certification paper, more in the sense of when you are then co-creating and facing other people, you feel like you know where you're coming from. You feel like you know what you're talking about. And the second one is obviously self work. Just work with the heart, open the heart, allow for the mind to take second role for a little bit, allow for the emotions to step out, become a mess, go through the darkness.
And that's actually also what fuels the songs afterwards, isn't it?
Yeah,
Without those experiences and the emotions and the heartbreak and the lessons, the
obstacles and
obstacles, that's
challenges
where the
and
most exquisite lyrics come out, the teachings, the
right.
learnings, the poems.
And combinations of notes, a combination of instruments, combination of like arrangements, and like we've seen it all
Yeah,
happening,
yeah,
and yet there is more.
there is more.
So imagine
Like I
how
see,
endless
it's
this
endless.
is.
I see, like for me, how it was for me. I remember I always loved to sing, but then I remember like my cousins saying, "You sound terrible," and then I thought I cannot sing. Then when I came to Swamiji, and he's a Vedic master chanter, he taught me chanting, and then I realized, oh, I can chant. I cannot sing, but I can chant. The same melody, dun 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 dun. I'm like, oh, and then I fell in love or rose in love with chanting, and it was that structure, like another kind of structure that Marlia is talking about. And somehow, most probably because of previous samskaras, impressions from life, the mantras came quite, I could pick them up quite effortlessly. Certain ones, there's countless, like probably those that I picked up quite effortlessly are the ones that I had chanted a lot in past lives. That's what we say in the Vedic tradition. So these mantras were there, and I would chant mantra and mantra and mantra, and then the confidence started to grow.
Yes.
And the Vedic chanting is very precise also because of the pronunciation. It's Sanskrit, and I have the blessing of having a master chanter, and so he's really particular with the pronunciation and the place of articulation. And so it started to change my whole body structure. Like we say, Sanskritam is the most refined language, and it purifies the body, the mind, and it realigns you to the universal truth, basically. And so the chanting has been a profound purification. And then from there, as my confidence grew and my voice started to become stronger, that's where then also like I started to feel like, oh, there's like a bhajan or a kirtan or some song and trying that. And then that didn't sound that terrible. And then
Yes.
started to sing more and more and more. And then the voice grew. And then songs started to come, all the women's circle song, many that I have learned from you and that we're also teaching in the priestess training. And suddenly this voice grew and grew and grew and grew. And suddenly, lately, like I have discovered a whole other level, like the shamanic priestess. My superstar is Snow Raven. I'm like a huge fan of Snow Raven.
And
She
you
really,
you you have
and
gone
that,
into the desert now.
yeah,
You
it's gone
have
into the
gone into
desert, in
the
the mountain,
jungle
and it
now.
has come out. Like the golden eagle has really been my spirit animal, and it just came out. These sounds from the depths, and it's exactly that what you described. It's so beautifully how you put it into words. It's kind of what happened. And I realized, no, I can sing. But it
Yeah.
was really meeting the all these sounds that sounded terribly in my ear
Yeah.
and maybe terribly for someone else. But that terribleness was basically the judgment,
Yeah.
the contraction, the shame, the guilt. And then with the embodiment, the somatic work where you go into the body and the breath and the sound and the movement, and you go into sounding just to sound out these emotions. And there it doesn't matter how it sounds.
Yeah.
I really, yeah, like there's incredible people like you that help, and I love to do that now also, just to help sound. And part of the sacred sexuality work is so important
Exactly.
to sound. And then suddenly this whole portal opens and connecting to the yoni, like that's a whole other huge topic. Like so many singers have this incredible voice, but are actually like not really connected to their genitals.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as I connected the voice with the genitals, it just poof, something opened up so profoundly. And then, of course, it's important to not get identified with that because otherwise
Sure.
it's just again it can become a trip. But seeing it
Exactly.
as a prayer, basically, like you're communicating then with the universe, and then she just sings through you, vibrates through you.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. That's
yeah.
the most important foundational pillar
Yeah.
to hold on to if we ever forget.
Yeah.
This is the most foundational piece of advice. She sings through you. She is creating through you. All you can be is a vessel of that divine code. And a deeper appreciation starts to come when each one of us goes back to our countries of origin, because exactly this, again, something that I did not see coming, that I would ever sing anything in Greek, in the Greek language. Never, even more so in the Cypriot dialect. I don't say hate, but this I used to hate
Greek
growing up.
songs,
This
Cyprus
was
song, folklore.
absolutely not out of the question. And it had to go through this 20-year cycle. Yes, why? Because first of all, I needed to detach. What do
Yeah.
we say?
Disassociate or disconnect
Disassociate everything that had to do with a
church,
folk, a local
like
folk song. Yeah, also
the
parts of
church,
religion.
religion.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we were made to go to church when we were little. And of course, I can hear always a man's voice in the church, right? Being so in love with the absolute brilliant natural acoustics of the voice, what the church can actually just do by just the building.
Amplifies.
And of course, let us connect again these, which is also where I'm about to go. The idea that the temples, all ancient temples, were built with us being associated to some kind of voice, being either a symbol of some sort, a bell of some sort, a voice of a human being that they could then reflect just because of the way that they are built, and then through a very tall middle piece, what was usually in the central arc into the sky, uh, connect to the universe, connect to the universal powers, perhaps
Why do we
even
have in Egypt the, what they called? The, yeah, maybe it comes later.
the pyramid.
Yeah, the pyramid for sure, definitely. That, yes, absolutely. The
And
pyramid.
any kind of structure that
Yeah,
has
and
like
also
an
that particular, I forgot the name right now. Yeah.
and through science of sound waves and sound frequencies, we also get to discover slowly, and this I don't understand why is it so slow, because we are already,
Yeah.
developed civilization, but we are still didn't really understand how all these huge mega Therion temples were built back
Yeah.
then.
We don't know how the pyramids were built, but sound, like it's obvious. It becomes obvious. When I was in the pyramids, like it all started to make sense. What an initiation. Yeah.
How did the Acropolis
Yeah.
be built?
Yeah.
How could they ever bring all that marble onto a rock in the middle of somewhere higher than the sea level and build a whole manufacturing building there, which still stands today? Everything was connected to the idea of producing electricity. Everything was connected to the idea of harnessing energy through the snowstorms, the windstorms, the rainstorms, and everything got connected within the temple, in a sense of how these two chords vibrate over here and they create sound to the acoustic, to the auditory system, which is our ears, and how we perceive sound, time, and space.
So sound, time, and space.
Big lesson. This idea of disassociating to reconnect. So there it was, coming out from the Western British pop, American indie music, jazz, blues, the hip hop, the R&Bs, right? Like that. This is what I grew up with. Rock music became at some point my favorite, just because I became a rebel back then when I could not further my studies in the music, what I most wanted and desired. And I got myself, my band got me an electric guitar and a distortion pedal. So that was the season, that was the era of the John, 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 like aggressive vocals and loud music. Growing further into metal, and then started visiting America and the UK and visiting these metal bands that I so wanted to connect somehow with them. And I had to step away from everything what I knew. Further, another step was going all the way to India and realizing that, oh my gosh, what an amazing, huge legacy of music they have here. Okay, let me find myself a teacher. I stayed 1 month in Varanasi, another month in Rishikesh. I learned harmonium. I learned how to play the sitar. I learned how to voice. I
In one
learned
month?
sarangi. Every time, different one. Every time, different one. My teacher brought me
Previous
to the.
lives, It's like,
I mean, once you got one instrument, you start getting them all. It's perhaps all these, yeah, past life steps that I have made that they just make it easy. But that's why I'm saying, go back to that idea of learning a little bit of this music theory, or how does an instrument make sound, because once you get it, then it's easy for all, right? And then you're just repeating an educational program that, with repetition makes perfect. My favorite one was, yeah, my teacher in Varanasi, when I would just come to him for singing. So he taught me a lot about the classical Indian music, what you can say as a foreigner always, because I'm not Indian, because they don't consider any foreigner being adept enough to hone the classical Indian music. It's that perplex and that
yeah,
like difficult to
yeah.
grasp. And then
All the
here,
ragas and this.
exactly. And then here in Bali, furthered my vocal development with Qawwali
Yeah.
music, and in certain let's call them conscious music festivals in Greece and Cyprus, I got to reconnect again to Middle Eastern music, to some makams, to the oud,
Oud.
another beautiful instrument, to the ney, a wind instrument, and slowly starting developing an ornamentation in the voice that really, to be very, very honest, I had not studied it per se, but I was surrounded by it. So my singing was a lot more Western. And then one day, really, like, this is the truth. That's why I'm teaching quantum leaping, because I have experienced quantum leaping. One day, I just wake up and the voice goes, "Da," and I'm like, oh, how did we get from the vocal run of whatever, Ariana Grande, to something a bit more like Middle Eastern flavor. Really, I had not studied it. Now I have studied it, but that realization moment, it was just given. Of course, I had been training. So when you train, it's like a muscle. It's like going to the gym, and somehow when you flexing and strengthening, then muscle memory comes, and you get to the desired effects, a little sooner. So there I was, coming back into Cyprus 16 years later than when I left it, and opening up again to the prospect of reconnecting to music in general.
Mm.
And can I share what made that reconnection possible?
Please, yes. The
The handpan.
handpan.
So the handpan is a metal instrument, round instrument, looks like a UFO, and it goes blink, 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 blink. And if it's well tuned, it's the absolute sound healing journey instrument that you can get. Combined with the voice, it's the beautiful synergy of an instrument that can just emanate frequency, because you can really see, in order to tune the handpan, you need to see its sound wave. Of course, the same we do for the string of the guitar, yes, but this has already been developed enough to use a little app or to use a little machine, and this is done. But in order to when you are sitting in the presence of singing balls, crystal balls, chimes, bells, all of this more ancient technology, there is where you can really become a witness of what sound waves do when they come to your body, when they are arriving onto your skin.
Mm.
And when mind, body, and soul attune just because of those sounds. So, handpan coming into my life for sound healing purposes actually reconnected me back to my roots,
Mm.
actually reconnected me back to Greek and Cypriot
Mm.
music after having visited all surrounding areas of this little Mediterranean corner over there, from Greece to Turkey to Lebanon to Syria. I haven't been to Syria, I would love to Israel, to Egypt. So all of this corner over there, that Cyprus is in the middle, in order for me to reconnect to songs. And this is also what I do now. In all of my tours, I would go and learn like a Slovak song and a Hungarian song. And every time I would ask somebody, hey, would you like to share a song?
Mm.
And this is a
Mm.
beautiful legacy, what we
Mm.
can really continue
Mm.
transferring from generation to generation, because usually these songs would have been vocal songs
Yeah.
that the women mainly are singing, either at the time when they are washing clothes down
Yeah.
on the river, or when they are coming together for a celebration of either a wedding or a funeral or a childbirth,
Mm.
something like this. So all of Balkans, especially songs from Bulgaria and Romania and Serbia, all of these songs hold that capacity.
Mm.
And yeah, this is also one of the things we are doing here in Bali. I hope we can resume it soon. That we are coming together, a group of women's voices, and creating these harmonies within the group, and we are singing again some of these
Will you share one for us?
folk songs. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Yes.
I truly feel that these songs are sung better when there is two or three.
Okay.
Okay, here is one that you also learned when we did this last year. Tomaragudikina Alexandris, Tomaragudikina Alexandris, Yenus Tinavriki Fakarifa, Yenus Tinavriki Fakarifa, Yenus Tinavriki Fakarifa, Yenus Tinavriki Fakarifa. Στο παβρέ μαργούδι να μη βγαίνεις, στο παβρέ μαργούδι να μη βγαίνεις, έξω στην αυλή κρύφα κρύφα, έξω στην αυλή κρύφα κρύφα, έξω στην αυλή κρύφα κρύφα, έξω στην αυλή κρύφα κρύφα.
Mm. Yeah.
Yum.
Yes, let that choir come together again, Tatastu. And I also see you there in the World Spiritual Forum
Yes.
2027, Tatasu, if she wants it to happen. with
Yes.
all your knowledge from all the songs from all these different countries for that universal peace prayer circle that I talked to you already about for Navaratri this year, and it didn't happen in person, but now even a bigger vision is
It's
here.
growing.
It's growing, and so there with all these sacred songs that you're gathering, and because one of the most powerful medicine is the voice, the song, and the prayers. We all can pray. Everyone can pray. Sometimes we feel so helpless.
Yeah.
But Swamiji would always say we're never helpless because we can pray.
Pray.
And prayer can be yes in words or simply a sound. And that's the universal language is prayer, is sound.
And if
And
you don't know, which would be beneficial to know who you are praying to, yeah, pray to nature. Pray to the flowers, pray to the trees, pray to some roots, pray to a plant that you have just planted.
so praying to nature like means we're praying to the quality that she holds. So like what is the quality of a flower? She's sensitive, delicate, loving, fragrant,
Beautiful
beautiful.
fragrance.
The stone, strong, unshakable, undestroyable. Mhm. So when we speak about God, goddess, it's not a higher power different than you or anyone. It's that infinite intelligent being as existence, as awareness, as consciousness that is in and through all, yet transcends all limitations. But it is in and through all that is. And so there we can offer our prayers and invoke the blessing of the sun and the moon and all those qualities. And in the Veda we say, as you worship, as you admire, so you become. So if you admire the qualities of a tree, you become like a tree. But what it means, you're not becoming like the tree and then you're going to stand there. And no, it's that rootedness
Acquire
is
the qualities of
exactly.
stability and foundation
Yeah.
and having a trunk which is solid and then
The roots.
branches which are free to move
Yeah.
and flexible to be with the winds.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And in that way, you're communicating with God, Goddess, the sacred being, in the form of all that is here. And you're
Hmm.
coming into that sacred dance of reciprocity. Nature takes care of us, we take care of nature, and we take care of each other. And we're coming back to this sacred symbiosis that we all so desperately long for the harmony and balance.
You speak such good Greek. Symbiosis, harmony,
Oh,
all of it is Greek.
καρδιά μου,
Καρδιά
αγάπη μου,
μου.
σε παρακαλώ,
Σε
να σου
παρακαλώ.
πω.
Yes.
I'm a good student.
Te amo. This one is a new one. Goddess, my goddess. Te amo.
Te amo.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
like
like
te
a
amo,
yeah,
but it's te amo.
yeah. It has this
The.
theta,
Te amo.
theta,
Theta.
theta, theta sound.
Te amo.
Te amo,
My goddess.
my goddess.
Te amo.
Mm-hmm.
We're all learning the word te amo.
Te amo.
Te amo. Goddess is Devi in Sanskrit.
Exactly.
So it's
Devi is Thea.
Thea.
Thea,
Thea. Te amo.
my
My
goddess.
goddess. Thea.
And this is the full cycle, wrapping up this idea
Yeah.
of walking back into Greek grounds
Exactly.
after years, after decades, receiving again the codes for from what? From just presence.
Mm.
That's all. You don't need to do fancy things. This is what Spirit keeps saying. We don't need to do more. We just need to be. The idea then that I'm reconnecting back to the roots and now I fulfill somehow my own being by walking one more time on temple grounds.
Mm.
And that's what has been happening the last few years, last 4 years after we were released to travel again in this world, that I'm returning to Greece, returning to Cyprus with an invocation to the Thea, to the goddess, to the Theo, to the god of each temple, reciting the Orphic hymns. What a beautiful thing. There has been one amazing lyrical poet, Orpheus, who in the ancient times wrote already in a magnificent and super complex. Somebody would almost say, in this Sanskrit kind of way, syllable by syllable, the frequency of the syllables of these poems creates a specific field, a specific vibrational field. He did this over 5,000 years ago. That they are still alive in ancient Greek, of course. They have been translated into modern Greek because some of us did not study ancient Greek. And they are also translated into English. So when we go with my groups into the Greek temples, ancient temples, we recite these hymns to each god. And there is also, yeah, an invocation for nature, an invocation for the wind, an invocation for the nymphs, an invocation for the muses to receive their amrita and start producing, start creating, start co-creating, start seeing the nuances and the subtleties of co-creation, and not acting so much from an entrepreneurship or business approach of, like, yeah, solely making money, but to understand that it's yeah, all of it is energy. I'm meant to be choosing my co-creators. I'm meant to be recognizing my true mission, and in the process of that happening, sure, money, energy can also flow in. So being in the temples, coming from this vastly rich background of ancestors, it feels like it's such a blessing to be able to reconnect to the roots, to the generations who came before us, and acknowledge them for being who they have been, and then take this dada, we call it dada,
Dada.
this flame in the hand, right? Like
Ah, yeah. The
like they're opening the Olympic Games every time. It's the fire symbol that they bring from ancient Olympia, and they say this is the torch. Ah, yes, the torch, the fire torch, right? Let's open a new way now. Let's open the new path. So one of the things that we are also doing this summer and on the summer solstice will be to meet the women who coming to join us in the Olympian Goddess retreat. My dear sister and amazing being Isha and myself in ancient Olympia, Greece.
when is it happening?
It's happening in the summer solstice of June,
Oh,
16 to 22
16 to 22
of June
June.
2025. And you are mostly invited, and you are most welcome. This is going to happen after the priestess training here in Bali, because the priestess training is happening in March 2025.
1st to 18.
A full 18 days of rituals and rites of passage, a lot of songs, a lot of prayers, reconnection
Yeah.
to the divine feminine.
Shall we
And
sing one more? Like Women's Circle, women's song?
you have a favorite one?
Oh my goddess. I learned it from Marlia. All of them are my favorites. So I choose one.
Yes.
Sacred woman I am, down walking barefoot by the river's stone. I got the water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart, so I'm never alone. Sacred woman I am. Sacred woman I am. Down walking barefoot by the river's stones. I got the water in my blood and the earth in my bones. I tend the fire in my heart, so I'm never alone. Sacred woman I am. And then what we did, sacred women we are. Down walking barefoot by the river stones, we tend the water in our blood and the earth in our bones. We tend the fire in our hearts, so we're never alone. Sacred women we are. Sacred women we are. Sacred women we are.
Yay! Yes, you say it so well. You even reminded me some of the lyrics. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Devi. Thank you, thank you. This is part one. We'll have many more parts coming. Come to Bali with us. Join Marley and her incredible academy. Where can they
Yes,
find you
right.
if
So
they're not coming to
Ma
Bali or to Greece?
marliacare.com is right now what all the offerings are online. And now, as we speak, we are expanding this facility, let's say, into a biohacking music healing
Oh
center,
wow.
which is called Resound. So,
Resound.
sound means crystal clear sound. And for me and my co-creators, this is what is the absolute most important. Not just any sound,
Mm.
but the idea that sound is healing and we can support, exactly like Swamiji is saying, you're never alone. Why? Because we take it so much for granted that, oh, I have a voice. Yes, but that voice can really do wonders,
Mm.
especially on times of upheaval and storms and losing oneself.
Yeah.
That voice is the anchor.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what's very, very real and current for me right now.
Yeah.
Putting together all the curriculum
Mm.
for the Resound
Mm.
Academy, opening online until it has a manifestation as a building here in Bali, and hopefully in the later years in Greece and Cyprus too.
Tatastu, ladibiso, samotebi, inshallah, mashallah, amen. Aho. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Debbie.
And wonderful, beautiful, sacred journey. Thank you all so much for listening, for tuning in, for watching, for making it all the way to the end of this episode of Born to Be Free podcast. If you liked this episode, if you enjoyed it, if it touched you, please share it with your friends, with your family. Like and comment your takeaways, your questions, and subscribe to the channel and join the newsletter list. That's the best way to also get to hear all the updates and support us. We support you. We love you as you are. Love. Remember, you are the gold in and through all the ornaments. Om.
Oh.
From my heart to yours, deepest gratitude for your presence. May you follow your wildest dreams, live your highest purpose, and expand into the infinite, because that's what you are.